All right, Gators Breakdown Plus members, thanks for hopping back in for another chat. And Gators sitting at 2-4. Seems like Napier's time's running out. So that's what we'll get into. That's what we'll get into on this chat a bit. I know we usually do these on Sunday nights, but took some time out. Daughter didn't have school on Monday or today on Tuesday, so took a short little trip down to Orlando and Universal and enjoyed a couple of days there. Got away from it all just a little bit, as much as I possibly could. Of course, waiting in lines, of course, but can sit there and have time on the phone and check in on everything. And that's how I found out about James Franklin getting fired, of course. Couldn't really dive in as much as I wanted to. But the big storyline, of course, and how it relates to Florida, we can get into that discussion. I think I was on the radio in Gainesville today with Kevin Winter. And he brought that topic up a bit of James Franklin being let go at Penn State and how it affects Florida and relating it to Florida. So I think we can get into that conversation too. I want to know your guys' thoughts on that. I know those have been shared a little bit here in the Discord the last couple of days anyway, in some form or fashion. But I know these are a little bit different and some good conversation going on lately today as well. In the Discord. So big thanks one more time, guys, for keeping that thing alive and well. And I know it's very, very busy in the Discord with just conversations going everywhere right now about Billy Napier and how much time he might have left, who might be next, all that good stuff. So we don't want to have to take too big of a look back at the Texas A&M game. I know we're a few days removed from that, kind of moving forward with the talk of Mississippi State coming up for homecoming, all that stuff. Could this be Napier's swan song? Is he out regardless? Does it take another loss? All that. Well, we can discuss all that right here on this Gators Breakdown Plus chat. If you want to join, if you're listening to the replay of this, hey, if you want to join us live, you can become a Gators Breakdown Plus member, gatorsbreakdownplus.com. But if you're catching the replay, go there. You can join, take part in these chats right here. You get ad-free episodes of Gators Breakdown as well. I know it's very ad-heavy during football season, so if you don't want the ads, there's one way to get around it. That's gatorsbreakdownplus.com. Like I said, we do these chats right here. You can take part in these, all that good stuff. Probably we'll try and come around on a Q&A coming up as well. We'll see what happens after this week. But as I know Ryan's waiting to get in here, and something he said earlier, you can best bet one way or the other, positively or negatively, the Gators Breakdown Plus Discord is going to be very lively on Saturday and Sunday. So certainly want to go ahead and jump in if you're not a member yet and come have fun with us. Yeah, you can best bet this is going to be crazy whenever the decision is made. And we think it all will be made pretty soon at some point. That's going to be a very lively place to have a discussion. So come on, join us if you haven't done so yet, gatorsbreakdownplus.com. So, all right, let me get Ryan in here. Started with him. And I see a few more of you in here. Go ahead and hop in if you guys want to. But Ryan, what's up, man?
What's up, Dave?
Yeah,
the Discord has definitely been jumping all day.
Yeah.
Especially, probably since last night, more so ever since it was rumored that Mississippi State game will be his last one and they'll lose. So,
yeah, I don't think we're breaking any news here. That's that's coming out now. I've seen it on Twitter too, and we had it in here. You're pretty early yesterday. Of course, not unique to us. Look, I've put it in before. Not really. If it happens, but I never built this thing, never really wanted this thing to be the place for breaking news or having it first or anything like that. But if it happens, it happens. And I'm not saying it happened here first, but a lot of times you'll get some early info here. And that seems to be a thought out there. We'll see. We heard so much a year ago. This was going to happen, that was going to happen, and the things never happened. So would that be the case again this year? But it's certainly out there, not a unique thought right now that, win or lose Saturday, that this This might be it. And look, we're seeing it too. We're starting to see some other beat writers come out with stories that kind of seem to be signaling the end, whether it be publicly in an article or on their message boards as well. So it really does just kind of seem like the writing is on the wall.
Yeah, I think that was the turning point for me. Like last night, it was all rumors, but today you're starting to see like you said, it's popping up on message boards from trusted sources that are inside, a lot that are inside the room would know. So yeah, I guess it's just a wait and see. But like you said, we went through this last year. Some of us got really excited and was crossing our fingers every week, and it didn't happen. So
and I guess
I'll wait until I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, and I guess part of that angle too is, in some ways, if that is the case, it doesn't make a lot of sense to go ahead and say, all right, here's Monday, here's what we're by the way, in 6 days you're done. In some ways that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But at the same time, it is the bye week coming up after that, but so I don't know. Is it some of that angle just doesn't make sense to me, but who knows?
I wonder if the James Franklin firing kind of maybe forced Adamant's hand just a little bit faster than they wanted to. Like maybe they wanted to play this out just a little longer, maybe get through Georgia. But maybe seeing that, other schools, big time schools, aren't sitting on the thumbs and giving their coaches any excuses or any, room. I mean, it's a serious business. It's like the NFL. You don't get 5 years to start winning. I mean, that's all there is to it. So I kind of feel like the Franklin news followed by what we've now, what has now happened, what we've heard over the last few days. I think it kind of helped speed up the process.
I can see that. I'm glad you brought that up because, as I said, I was on the radio in Gainesville today with Kevin Winter, and he spent a lot of time on that, and rightfully so. I think it's a great angle to go with. And well, we know Napier's on the hottest of seats. Was still on somewhat of a, I think, very, very lukewarm seat coming into the season. Even though with that winning streak, you knew if the season went wrong, not the way we wanted it to, that a good chance of him being fired was there. And it's in relating it to Penn State, like as I said, we knew there was still somewhat of a hot seat for Billy Napier. James Franklin went from safe to fired so fast. Like there wasn't really much to even talk of hot seat. It all just happened so fast. And part of that is, look, their expectation was even higher than ours. It was kind of this is our year in different levels. For them, it was they've been so close to competing for a national championship and ready to break through that was kind of the same for Florida, just at a lower level. It's ready to break through but become a contender. Well, Penn State has been a contender, and they had title aspirations. So that's why it moves so fast for them. And you can sit and ask and say if it's the right choice or not, as close as they've been, and are they making the choice? Of course, for them and where they've been at with James Franklin, it can certainly be worse. For Florida, more than likely, it's an arrow up. For Penn State, it's remaining to be seen. But I do think that probably has, if there is the case of, all right, we're making a move this weekend, win or lose. I don't know. I can see it. Kind of going to your point of relating it to Penn State and maybe it pressing the button and say, all right, well, we thought we might be the best job on the market when we were thinking about making this move 2 weeks ago. Now, maybe not so. There's a lot of ways of looking at this when Florida becomes open, that it's Florida and Penn State that are the best jobs. What happens at Auburn? What happens at Florida State? Two more big names you could throw into the mix. Arkansas, Oklahoma State, a tier behind. You're not really compete with them. And I'm not really sure how much you'd be competing with Penn State either. I think, of course, Marcus Freeman and Cignetti's name, they might bleed over into this search. But, I think all in all, Florida will have their list. Penn State will have their list. But I can see now it's look, that program is taking it serious. That program is making a move. And a month ago, we would have never said they were making a move. And that shows how serious some programs are about this. Now, I'm still not going to live in the world right now that Florida hasn't put it publicly yet. They're going to fire Napier. That Florida's not serious about the making the move. But on the surface, it can look like that for a program that moves so fast in firing James Franklin. And then you have Arkansas, and you have UCLA and Virginia Tech. That what is Florida really waiting on? And it is a valid question.
It also once again puts Florida back in the negative lot of college football. Like, look, what are they doing? They don't care about football. I mean, like you
Yeah,
just said, but it makes it's how the rest of the country views us
correct.
as opposed to what other schools are doing.
Perception is reality,
So,
right?
exactly. So, I mean, and that's the bottom line. I mean, if it was up to Strickland, he would probably give him the rest of the season. And we don't know that that's not going to happen yet. I mean, we're all still speculating because nothing has happened. But I mean, if it was up to Strickland, he'd give him every single chance, and he would probably keep him at after 7 wins. But I don't think he's the one making all the decisions anymore. So, but
Yeah, I don't think he's
we'll
gonna have.
see.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna have full say in this. So
Yeah. And I think Signetti is probably a perfect fit for Penn State. I think and I also kind of wonder if maybe they went ahead and made the move this weekend right after a big win by him.
Good point.
I don't know. It just maybe,
Yeah.
People backdoor talks are always happening. So, but who knows? I don't know. And it's probably just coincidental, but it just kind of seems like that's who they would be zeroing in on. And then, which I don't think he'd be a fit for us anyway. I mean, he seems like a damn good coach. Don't get me wrong. I just don't know if he's a Florida coach.
Yeah. What's up, Bull Gator?
Hey man, I was just wanted to comment on what a difference a year makes. Because we were having these same exact talks, without I'm sure he's out the door.
Yeah.
But same exact conversation last year about he should be fired. What are we doing? That was before he turned the season around.
Yeah.
And all the media guys were, what's his name? Barry. I forget his first name on ESPN. What are they talking about?
Oh, Matt Barry.
Matt Barry, right?
Yeah.
They got to give him a chance. Nobody's saying that. I don't know if that was after the USF loss or what, but everybody's like, yeah, Billy Napier's gone. That's pretty much a consensus now.
Yeah, boy, and I think some of that is you brought him back after the winning streak, and he proved that he couldn't handle momentum again. And it was another bad start to the season. So it's just like, okay, well, if he can turn this around somewhat, are we here again next year? Or do you give him another chance of having a season, and then Florida starts off 2-2 next year or something of the fashion? It's like, okay, well, you wasted another chance. That's why I think there's probably a lot of true belief that you're not going to get the chance to do that again.
Yeah, one comment about most of my family's from Pennsylvania. A lot of them are Penn State alum.
Oh yeah,
and they have hated, and I use the word accurately, hated Franklin for years.
I remember you saying that a good bit in here, even when I've defended him, putting him on Florida's list before. I do remember you putting that out there.
Yeah, I think losing these 2 games was the excuse that a lot of them big money people at Penn State were looking for to get rid of him.
Yeah.
And I think they were just waiting for him. That 3-17 against Michigan and Ohio State just got on the Penn State people, who basically are still in the Joe Paterno mindset. They're like, we should be fighting for a championship every year. I don't know if that's going to work out for them. I was talking to one of my relatives after this happened. I'm like, you got Penn State 2025 is not Penn State of 1995. Like, I don't know that you guys are ever going to do any better than you're doing right now, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, that is always the question of, is the grass greener on the other side? But I kind of going to your point there, boy. I do agree, and I know it costs a lot of money and all that. It did kind of seem like this year was just kind of the ultimatum year for James Franklin. Now, I don't know if they saw this being rock bottom. I don't know if they thought they'd hit rock bottom this year, but if you were hesitant on him for any reason, this gave you all the ammo you needed to go ahead and say, all right, well, we told you he didn't have it. and now everybody feels safe in making the move. There's really, I say everybody. Now, there's probably some of them that think, it might get worse, but Yeah, if there was some hesitancy, I think some of it did go away just by all the expectations that they had this year. And look, they made moves. They didn't, they didn't stay status quo. James Franklin went and hired an offensive coordinator. They hit the transfer portal for wide receivers to make this team better. And it didn't. I mean, they hired the best, what many thought was the best defensive coordinator in the game, and somehow got way worse. Now, maybe there was just so much in that Oregon game they put into that, and they lose that game, and the team's just like, all right, well, we're just not there, and the bottom falls out. But man, just what with the moves they made, I never would have saw this kind of collapse.
Now, not to get too far afield, and I know you can't tell us stuff that maybe you hear behind the scenes, but when we get a new coach, do we know if we're going to be doing the same type of contract that everybody else is doing, where we have this gigantic buyout again? I mean, is Jimmy Sexton going to hold us hostage where, we have to do that? Or are we going to be able to start restructuring contracts? So, maybe make it incentive based. So, you can get a huge payout if they win, but we're not stuck with them if they lose.
I would love that, Bull, man, but I think Sexton and that coach or whatever, the wording, the vibe is going to be, you gave Billy Napier that, we expect that. We're more than likely Florida's bringing in somebody pretty experienced, somebody who has done a lot more than Billy Napier did when he got the Florida job. And I think they could take that as a slap in the face, saying, you gave him that, but you won't give us that. Thanks, no thanks. So once again, I think this terrible contract could hurt Florida for the next coach because it kind of sticks them here. Now, I do agree with you. If you want to be able to prove yourself, and maybe it is a even bigger contract because of incentives, and maybe you can work it around like that. Maybe a 10-win season's worth this, and an SEC championship is worth this, and a national championship is worth this, and it ends up being like a $16 million a year deal. Maybe somebody is confident enough to take that, and I hope they are. It shows they have a lot of confidence to go that way with it. But I just think this last contract really could screw Florida again, just because of no. You did that for the last guy, and he has nowhere near the resume we have. We want some guarantees as well.
Yeah.
And hopefully it doesn't get past, the top two candidates that everybody's talking about. And those two guys would warrant a large contract and probably would demand, top 5 in the country type money. So,
yeah.
And that's fine. That's just the way it works. I mean, everybody, the money is only going to go up for these coaches. It's not going to go down ever. I just hope that in the background, they give everything that they gave Napier, the next guy gets it too.
You can't afford not to.
Yeah.
So, Billy Childers in here. What's up?
What's happening, guys? How y'all doing?
Pretty good.
Hey, I just wanted to say something. I'm not the negative Nancy or anything like that, but I guess the word is out that come Saturday, for better or worse, win or lose, he's out. I guess none of us will know till we know, but I think it would be just like Billy and these players who probably want to play for him to go out there and beat Mississippi State 31-12. And I just don't see him firing. Oh, if that happens, I want to win, at least on a good win. If they win convincingly, so to speak. I just don't see it happening. And that leads me to say, I don't think we're going to beat Georgia. And what, just like Kirby Smart to be the last person to put a fork in us.
And going to your point and relating it to last year a bit too, that scenario kind of reminds me of the whole offensive coordinator talk. It's all right, here's the conversation. We had it. Here's what's going to happen. And then it didn't happen. Like, they literally could have had a conversation yesterday. All right, it is over. And he goes out there and looks very good Saturday. And they're like, oh, okay, let's hit the brakes. Never mind. And then, it pivots the other way. and nothing's done about it. Kind of like all the OC talk last year. Yeah, well, we're going to make you hire an OC, and then Florida wins 4 games, and nobody ever held his feet to the fire about hiring an offensive coordinator. So yeah, it can be absolutely true that conversation had happened, and they're telling him Saturday's your last day.
Can be true.
But like everybody, well, not everybody, but like a lot of people, it is see to believe.
Yeah, for sure. We're just definitely not at a point where we can hire a less proven coach. And, I'm talking about giving other coaches the same resources. I don't think I don't know that everybody would desire the level of support that has been given to Billy as far as staff goes.
Oh, the whole big army. Yeah, I don't know if you need that big of a staff, and maybe that's where other coaches take advantage. Maybe you don't need maybe you don't need so many bodies for whatever ancillary reason that's out there. And look, I know some of that was calmed down a little bit because of rev share and all that, so you had to make a little bit more room. But yeah, I mean, it's maybe spend the money a little more wisely now instead of this whole big army of a staff that never really paid off.
Exactly. Some of that money could be, given back to the coach if he's wanting an increased salary over what he makes now or over what Billy makes now or whatever. So I just thought that'd be, I think in coach worth their salt. Don't get me wrong. They're not hurting for money, and they definitely going to care about lining their pockets. I mean, who doesn't want to line their pockets first? But I'd have to think that if I was a coach betting on myself, I would probably structure my situation where my first year into a program somewhere, take a little of that money away and go get me some top linemen out of the portal immediately, then and there for that first year. Give that away because winning solves all.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see. Kind of going back to Bull Gator's comment too of maybe with these because of rev share and the way college football is going. Do you restructure contracts now? And there will be some big programs that are in the mix. Penn State and Florida, the main two, and then who knows? It might be a chain reaction. Does somebody else leave another big school to come to Florida or to Penn State? So does Notre Dame get thrown into a mix? If Marcus Freeman leaves, so Florida, Penn State may not be the only ones. So it will be interesting to see who works it out first. Like which big school makes the first hire, and then seeing how the deal is structured, and then does it cause a chain reaction? Like if it's put out publicly, hey, this is a heavily incentivized contract, then are the brakes pumped a little bit on the other hires that are being made, and you do see a chain reaction where more contracts are like that, or are you so far down the negotiation process it's maybe too little too late? But it might depend on that first big hire that is made in how these schools approach, because everybody held off last year. We heard that so many times. Florida didn't really want to make the move on Billy Napier. Arkansas really didn't want to make the move on Sam Pittman because rev share was coming in, and we didn't know how that was going to affect money and how it was going to affect coaches. Well, I think we're seeing some of these firings now because so many programs held off last year and trying to figure out this new look college football. And now you're seeing it catch back up, and you've seen it catch back up pretty quickly. Now Penn State wasn't making a move last year because they made the playoff, but some of the other Virginia Tech and Arkansas and Oklahoma State, there was been talks, those guys being on the hot seat coming into the season, but nobody wanted to make the move last year because of all the uncertainty around the sport, and we're seeing it catch up pretty fast right now.
Well, Dave, to your point, multiple points there. I remember it being said in the groups last year that our AD is got his hands in his pocket, and we should have made a move last year while there weren't many schools looking for other coaches. Right. We could kind of go get our pick of the litter.
Yeah.
Also, the everybody's making so much money now as far as the coaches go. I think it'll be hard to get those guys to go back to, making less money up front and only going and making the majority of their money being incentivized, through wins or whatever. I could see, like an Alex Golish or somebody like that trying to make that next step up, getting an incentivized styled contract.
Yeah.
But then again, on the other hand, which I know there's not necessarily a shortage of money, but if these coaches are, regardless of how much money they're making and how big these contracts are, coaches are going to still keep flopping. And at some point, these programs are going to have to get tired of paying these $50 million buyouts. And when it happens, I wonder if there's going to be a shortage of money, or people are sitting on their wallets and saying, "Yeah, no, we're not doing it no more." And they restructure these contracts differently. And I think one of the two happens.
Yeah, I can certainly see that. That's part of the Florida's problem too, is just the buyout for Billy Napier and how it was structured, and so much money due in such little time. So it's thanks, Strickland. Thanks, Strickland, on that one.
I would see. I would probably bet that the next contract will probably be more front end loaded, more annual, and like you say, and like Bull talked about, more incentive based and less of a buyout. What was Franklin's buyout when they fired him? Do we know?
54.
Oh wow! Holy cow!
Yeah. That's one reason I didn't think they were going to make the move.
I thought it was 49, but could be 54.
Okay, yeah. Let me see. I'll look it up.
A lot.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just say roughly 50.
Yeah, it's going to be. I mean, like I said, I know coaches' salaries are only going to go up.
Yeah, Bull was right.
Annually,
49 mil.
But it's hard to see teams like y'all just talked about continuing to have these large buyouts. I mean, especially when they fail. I mean, you're almost like you have to go and get a proven guy. You cannot take the chance on anybody that hasn't done it, proven they can do it, at least in your league or in the Big Ten or in within the Power Four conferences. I mean, you can't go out and there's no more taking a chance on a guy from Louisiana Lafayette.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just you can't do that anymore.
Let me,
if you're going to spend that kind of money, you better go out and get a proven guy. And if he fails, then I mean, you just throw your hands up, I guess, as a fan. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Because we go out and hire Lane or Freeman, then I don't see how either one of them could fail.
Let's see. Highway Gator, I know you're in here, but you've been muted. Hopefully you can. There we go. Yep.
I was just waiting. I didn't want to interrupt nobody.
Okay, all good.
Yeah, all I really can say is that thank God we lost to USF, because I feel like the fan base would be so much more divided right now, because they'd be like, oh, well, he hasn't lost a game at home, and, we got the upset against Texas, and he beat all who he's supposed to beat. But with the loss to USF, I mean, even the most ardent defenders of him have to admit that it's not going to work. It's not going to work.
I do agree with you there. I think that could be why if this ultimatum, well, not even ultimatum, if this, win or lose Saturday, you're still done Sunday. I think for at least for this season in a bubble, it starts there. It starts by losing to that USF game. And really just losing to a team like that at home. I do agree. I think there still might be this weekend would be all right, win, we'll continue, lose, you're out. But if this whole win or lose and you're out anyway I think it starts there. I think you're right.
Well, and to me, I agree with you. It's win, lose, and he's out. I mean, I feel like his goose is cooked. He's just had such a long leash, and nobody can say Florida fans are impatient. You had 4 years, and we've seen guys, the coach at TCU, he's first or second year, takes his team all the way to the national title. Granted, it's the Big 12, but still, I mean, in this new era of college football, you can turn something over real fast. And we've waited 4 years and gotten the same results every single year.
Yeah, I don't hear as much of the oh, we're moving too fast. Oh, give him some time. I think kind of going back to your point, it started with the USF game because, there were so many high expectations. There was a lot of high expectations for this team this year. And then you lose that game. And then we see, lose to an LSU team that still kind of looks pretty average right now. And a Miami team with Mario Cristobal, who was hired the same year that you were. Mike Elko, who's only been Texas A&M 2 years, and you lost to him both times. I mean, so yeah, I think the whole patience thing is played out, and I think a lot of the fan base eyes have been awoken by that and the high expectations this team had, and right now you're staring 2-4 in the face.
Well, we all had high expectations, but it's like you said at the beginning of the year, and pretty much we all felt at the beginning of the year. It's like, this is the year. If you're going to make the run, this is the year you got to show us you got the chops to do it. And clearly he doesn't. But one more thing I wanted to ask before I step on out of here is, have you heard anything about guys leaving in the transfer portal, or there's any like idea of who you would think would leave?
No, I haven't went there. First, I haven't heard anything, and I haven't thought too much about it. The only angle of this I've thought about is the timing of the announcement. I don't think you want to keep the players in limbo if you want those guys to stay. I think the longer that you let this linger and let it go to the end of the year, and then guys don't really know what they're doing, and it kind of just happens fast at the end of the year. And they probably got some inclination of what would happen. I mean, if he doesn't get fired Saturday and let the year play out, but Florida's not really looking that much better, they're not dumb. I mean, they'll kind of know what's kind of going on and happening. But I think as far as toxicity goes, if the losses keep mounting, I think that's why you go ahead and make a move. But I think in some respect to the players, you kind of just make a move and kind of put their futures in mind at the same time. So, but as far as specifics go in that area, I haven't thought too much about it. Now, in a way, I have thought about it. Is guys I know I want to stay. who I don't care who the next head coach is. Some of these freshmen that are making plays all over the field. Certainly, I want those guys to stay. But that's about the extent that I thought about it.
I wonder if there was anything after the Texas A&M game, any red flags or something that kind of gave the signal from the players that they've kind of moved on from Napier too.
There is that clip of Lagway on the bench kind of going around like crazy right now. And it certainly, if you can read lips, certainly looks like he's kind of questioning the play calling. He looks very frustrated. Shows a bit of fire on the sideline that we haven't really seen before. I think some of that kind of maybe lends itself to he's playing a little bit better than he had at the beginning of the year, and the results are still kind of where they are. And with him looking like he's questioning play calling, it kind of looks like he says, what the heck is that? What the heck is that play call, or why are we running that play, or something like that?
Yeah, I saw that clip. I couldn't tell what he was saying. I mean, it's hard to tell.
Right, there's a lot of assumption there, I guess, without being able to hear and know for sure what he's saying. But either way, visibly frustrated, and that's a little different than so many people early in the season. He looks like he doesn't care. He's like a deer in the headlights. This looks lost. Mm-hmm. That's not what he looked like there Saturday. And I know this game was more personal to him. Now, he had a lot of people in the stands, cheering him on and all that. But I can see it be a realization of, man, here's 4 losses now. I'm playing better, and here we are, still not being able to do anything much on offense. So
maybe the realization is, hey, I could be the starting quarterback over there for that number 5 team right now, because it was us and Texas A&M were the two, or they were the biggest pushers, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I can see some of it coming from that. One thing I wanted to get on this angle too, while we're kind of on this topic, is I want to ask you guys. I don't know if we've put this in the Discord chat all too often, but I do want to ask the question: what do you take away from really nothing being said by Scott Strickland right now?
I mean, what can he say?
Good sign,
He can't-
bad sign. That I kind of agree to your point right there initially. Like, what can he say?
Yeah, I mean, there's
it's
nothing he could come out and say that's going to make anybody happy except for we're moving on from Billy Napier.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Agreed. But I guess is it telling in any way, or is it just
I don't think he doesn't really say that much anyway. I mean, does he? He's not
no?
really
Right. I mean,
I mean,
he's in the summertime. He's on for the SEC spring meetings. He's talking. I know he'll do radio hits every now and then. I think he did some radio in the summer before the season started as well. But yeah, there's not.
I think
there's just a
I
lot.
think he's hoping for an end of the season like last season, so he can shove it in everybody's face. Look, I made the right hire. I did it.
I don't think that's happening. So he better come up with a new plan.
Oh, I don't think it is either. But if you've hitched your horse to somebody, you got to ride it till it goes off the cliff.
Yeah. I mean, like I said before, he wouldn't fire him this year if it was up to him just for money and just save face. But I don't think he's making the decision anymore.
Yeah, fully making it. I don't think so.
Yeah, fully making it. Or people behind him, or important people, are telling him, "Hey, this is going to happen." So,
Now, Dave,
there's nothing he could say.
What happens if we hire a new coach? If we get rid of Napier, which looks like it's going to happen, if we hire a new coach and we're in the same place in 3 years, eventually, I think we're going to have to start saying, maybe it's not them, it's us. By us, I mean the administration.
Yeah.
Because seriously, it's like a girl who blames all men because she has bad dates, and you got to look in the mirror. Maybe there's a problem because if we hire would that be a 5th failing head coach in a row? Maybe we're doing something wrong.
I mean, it would be certainly. It probably is valid in already some ways, Bull. But yeah, I think especially if you're going to keep pouring the resources, and in a college football world now looks like you don't necessarily have to recruit at the very, very top. That at least being a competitor. I'm not saying not win it all. We all want to win it all. Don't get me wrong. That's going to be the ultimate goal. But at least be a competitor to start with, and then we'll kind of go into your window of 3 years down the road. What is Florida? We should have a pretty good idea what Florida is. And if we're still anywhere near this, yeah, we may have to ask ourselves the question. I don't buy into what was Florida without Spurrier and Meyer, and Florida never did anything before Steve Spurrier. Well, do really do much before Coach K either, and their expectations don't change. Our expectations shouldn't change. So and there's been other big programs that have gone through the drought that Florida's very similarly going through right now, and Texas has rebounded in some ways. Georgia rebounded for sure. But that question will come up. The question will come up for sure.
I mean, just look at Alabama pre-Saban. They looked like an awful program.
How many coaches was that between Stallings and
They also
Saban?
went through sanctions.
Yeah. I'll have to look it up. Because
there was DeBose.
Yeah.
There was
DeBose,
Shula.
Yeah.
There was one guy that they hired and then
Francione.
fired before he even Francione. Who else?
I'm looking it up.
Regardless, it probably wasn't 5.
And
they also went through probation through in between Stallings and Saban, and still got. I mean, the Blue Bloods, and I'm not saying Florida's. They always rebound. They don't go too long. The Bamas, the Texas, they have periods and droughts. I mean, we're on that next level under the Blue Bloods. The Texas, the Bamas, Ohio States.
You had,
and we're having our drought. We have been there. We've been to the mountaintop, so we know we can do it again.
Yeah, you had. So it was Mike. It was Mike Price who had the very, 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 very.
There you go.
Short stint, who didn't even get the coach. Mike DeBose.
Strippers or something. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, Mike DeBose, Dennis Francione. Then you had Mike Price, who never even coached a game. That was in 2003. That's when they hired Mike Shula. And then, Joe Kynes was the interim there. But so true head coaches.
But it's not like
Yeah.
not like Stallings was some generational
No,
coach
he wasn't.
either.
Yeah, you're right.
know?
Yep.
Mhm.
You know who's having a longer drought than us is Nebraska.
Nebraska. Yep. That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the ones people are pointing out that if this hire for Florida doesn't go right, then that's what Florida has kind of turned into.
Yes, but at the same time, today's college football, even in the last 20 years, Nebraska and Florida, just for recruiting purposes, and it's just kind of like, it's like Tennessee's problem too there for a long time.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and they've got a better coach. It's geographically is important in these days. Like, kids don't want to go play in Nebraska unless they're from that area. It's hard to get the top talented kids to go play, in the middle of a cornfield.
What's up, Fluke? Hopefully he's got.
Good evening, gentlemen. I just wanted to point something else out and kind of go along with Bull's comment of when is it not the coach and it's us?
Yeah.
When does the UAA, when does the Athletic Society, when do they say, oh crap, maybe it's us. Maybe we're doing things wrong. Maybe we're putting money in the wrong place.
My friend, you've asked a question that I think a lot of us don't know the answer to. We have to speak for them, and I don't know if we can. Hopefully, making this move and however you structure a contract and whatever you give this person and however we structure NIL and go after and attack the transfer portal, that's how they're going to tell us. I mean, there's nobody going to come out there and speak for them and say, hey, we're doing this and we're doing that. It's going to be by example. And yeah, that's how I would put it. What behind the scenes can we tangibly see? Those things I just listed are those things, I think. But, Strickland's the mouthpiece besides the head coach for, that side of things. And he'll say the things he said when we hired Billy Napier and the things he says now. And it's just going to be more about action than it is, words.
Do we think that we have the right people in place for that right now? Or do you think it's going to be a Nebraska lesson in futility? Or do we have the wrong people making those decisions?
I mean, so far, they're not making the right decisions. I know Chip Howard is on his way out now, so there's a old guard change, for lack of a better term, there. But there's been some movement, but I don't know. I don't live in that world too much. I try to stick with the teams themselves. But obviously, going to your point, especially with a coaching change, expanding this, there has to be buy-in at every level. I mean, if you're going to get to the level we want this program to be, there's going to have to be buy-in from athletic director, administration, board of trustees, UAA, football program, staff, players. I mean, everybody's going to have to be on the same page. And if we've questioned that in the past. And while Billy Napier got a lot of the things that he asked for, and him not winning is not because he didn't get anything he asked for. He asked. Now, the only thing, and I put it in there earlier, was like, to me, the only thing administration wise that was slow to come around for Billy Napier was, to me, the full buy-in of the NIL. And it took a while, I think, for Scott Strickland and certain boosters and UAA to come around on of how to attack NIL, how to attack collectives and get behind it. But I think it's in a good spot now. But, it's things like that we know there has to be full buy-in at every level. And, I think it's easy to throw shots at those angles when things aren't going well. But at the same time, there's just a head coach aspect of it too, and you just hired the wrong guy there. But going to your point, there has to be full buy-in and full buy-in from the get-go. Nothing needs to be wait and see. Nothing needs to be, let's see how this goes before I'm going to fully buy in. No. Now, some of that's probably going to be who they hire. And I think you're going to be very torn. There's going to be a lot of people behind the scenes torn on who to hire, and that they're going to have to get on board.
That's not good.
Yeah, if they don't, I mean, to me that probably goes for every hire, Ryan. I don't know if that's a Florida thing. Like, not everybody's going to be on the same page of who to hire. I think there's going to be a lot of support for a Lane Kiffin and a Marcus Freeman, but beyond those two, I don't think it's going to be full buy-in. For some of the fan base.
Yeah, if it's beyond those two, it's going to be tough to get.
Yeah,
because who are your next names on the list? I mean, they're not nearly as appealing as them two.
But beyond that, no matter what the fan base thinks, I don't care who the hire is. They need full support. I may not agree with who the hire is, but they better have full support if you want it to work.
Yeah, realistically, I agree with you, Dave. I was one of the last people to say, "Oh, the UAA is messed up," and this and that. But when it comes down to it, this is our fifth hire in however many years.
Yeah,
you got to start asking that question, and then on top of that, I really believe that if the hire is right and like what you're saying, there is full buy-in, Florida could go from 2-4 to making the playoffs next year in a real quick fashion. If they make the right hire, if the buy-in's there, and we can keep the core of the team, because when it comes down to it, Napier built a great foundation. He just can't get out of his own way.
Yeah, and some of this too. Oh man, I had a point. It just quickly left. I hate when that happens. It'll come back to me.
I tell you,
If you're worried about the administration, then that's the concern. Are they going to make the right hire?
Oh yeah, there you go. That's where I was going to go.
Okay.
We see if you make the right hire, how quickly it can change. I mean, Indiana right now made the hire. Their football program right now is at the highest peak it's been, and there's a lot of buy-in now. And you saw what happened when they started winning. Boosters, big name boosters started getting involved, and people wanted to be a part of it. I mean, we have a lot of that support already. It hasn't taken, winning to get there. But I do think to me, all I'm saying is the right hire can make things right. It can winning solves everything, I guess, is the point that we're trying to make here. And just hire the right guy, and it doesn't take long.
I tell you, Dave, I'm probably the negative Nancy here. I just do not believe that our UAA will do that, just because of history.
Yeah.
I mean, from fully saying we're not going to get to an arms race to we're not going to outbid people, get in a bidding war for when NIL started, to what you brought up about Strickland not really, basically trying to shunt money away from NIL to booster until he realized how important that was. It's just we're always a day late and a dollar short in making the wrong decision. Fluke said he was one of the last people to throw the UAA and our administration under the bus. I was one of the first.
Yeah.
It is my hope that I would love to see just get rid of everybody and just start over again, from the lady who's been answering the phone for 50 years up to the athletic director. Just start all over, because I think we have an internal problem at Florida where we're just happy with same old. We don't want to upset the apple cart too much. And I think in a modern, we've seen in basketball, they upset the apple cart with Golden. They went off the page. They went out of guys, pure analytics, a new up and comer, did things new. And in 2 years, we win a national championship, 3 years. So I think we need to do that with football too. We need to get somebody, we need to start fresh, in my opinion. I could be wrong.
It's clearly a football problem only, because we've won in other sports. Like you just said, we won with Todd Golden 3 years, so he made the right hire there. He's just not good at hiring football coaches.
But I think that's what's so irritating about the whole conversation, though, is that like everyone here is bought in. It's somebody in the UAA or the administration who is okay with the football program being lackluster.
Let me get Newton here right quick.
Hey, good evening, guys. What's going on?
Hey, man. Thanks for hopping in.
Something that we always talk about, we don't really, I haven't heard it tonight, but just I feel like if we really believe that the other team like is on our tendencies and stuff that much, then it's not going to take as much as we think for a new coach to come in here and kind of just hit the ground running.
Yeah, it's funny you brought that up too, because in thinking behind the scenes of what can happen, and like I know there's been a lot of talk about not liking Eli Drinkwitz as a head coaching candidate, and look, I question it a bit too, but just at that basic level, Newt, I thought about that too. It's just like, and in that same regard, so it's funny that you bring that up. Because I put a tweet out there today about how the predictability of the offense, and it certainly seemed like at least that's been a case week in and week out. But then you have guys on the Texas A&M defense that, of course, played at Florida with Searcy, the staff with Bateman and Spencer, and it certainly looked like they knew exactly where to line up and exactly how to play Florida, even more so than the teams that we've seen. Look like they know what's coming, and in some aspects they did. But I think for Texas A&M's defense, it went even deeper than that. Like it almost like they were in the huddle and knew every adjustment and when Florida was going to make the adjustments. And I think there's something to that too. So, but it got me thinking of at least can we get a coach that's at least going to give us an advantage where it's just not so easy for the opponent to figure out and stop what we're trying to do.
Question for you, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's still early. You don't have to say anything, but I mean, are the top two guys, are they realistic candidates?
I think so.
Or are we just
and you're
wasting our time?
The top two you're talking about are Kiffin and Freeman.
Yes, of course. Yes.
But I mean, it's just for people when I put this episode out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think so. Kiffin and it's kind of just goes back to the thought that he'd like to be at Florida. And how does this season play out? Does it affect it in some way? Maybe it does. But as we sit here mid-October, I think he'll be in play. I think there has been interest in the past. I don't know what the future holds, but if you tell me right now in October, I think he's in play. Freeman, I think too. Just him being at Notre Dame's put so much secrecy behind contract and buyout and all that kind of thing. I think he'd be interested. I think he'd listen. And I think there's many people on the Florida side who would love to go that route. So I think there's some that have come around on Kiffin as well. I think that started last year. And there's been a lot of talk whether Strickland would come around or not. And whether he'd fully come around, I don't know. But I actually do think he'd be willing if enough other people told him that that's the route Florida needs to go. I do think he'd be receptive to it. Now, go ahead.
What is the drawback? Just because of his attitude, and he's kind of a snarky, and
from what's out there,
his record speaks for itself. I mean, what his resume? I mean, look what he's done. I mean, it's not like he's
and I guess that goes to the
taking
conversation.
A chance on some no-name coach.
And I guess that goes to the conversation we were just having about UAA and people being accepting and all that. For me, and maybe I'm thinking about this different because I'm a fan. I got some orange and blue glasses. I don't care if I like you or not. If my job kind of depended on you, and I know you're going to win some ball games, all right, I can work with you. Let's go do some things. We can become friends down the road, or we don't have to. But if you're doing your job and you're doing your job well, it makes me look good, and I can keep my job for a little bit longer. Let's partner up. Let's go.
Exactly.
Winning solves everything.
Winning solves everything. There you go. We'll come back to it. Winning solves everything. Let me get
I've got 9 guys.
Go ahead. And I will get Corey in here, and then we'll call it.
All right. I've got 9 guys that work under me in my company. And one of the guys, I cannot stand the person, but he does his job immaculately. And I would never, ever, ever think of separating ways with him as an employee based on my inability to get along with him. When it comes down to it, if my guys are doing good, just like you said, Dave, if they're doing good, they're making me look good. I don't care if I like you or not.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, hey, that's business, honestly. I mean, just kind of expanding your point, that is business. I think we're all in that area somewhere in our life that, somebody you don't like in probably some way makes your life better. So I want to see it in football. All right. Tried to get Corey in here, but we'll see. And then good conversation tonight, guys. Good conversation.
I'm just so tired of being sad during football season. I don't care what happens next. Just give me some hope.
Yeah, the hope is gone. The hope is gone for sure.
A little
Yeah,
entertainment.
there's no hope.
This might be the first night we got something positive to talk about this year.
I was about to say the conversation tonight, while it hasn't really focused on the game itself, which is what I love for it to do this time of year, it's going pretty good. It's going swimmingly. Hey, Corey, what's up, man?
Yeah, I really wish we were talking more about, what the scenario is going on with, football schematics and point spreads and all this stuff going forward. I really had hopes for that this year. I really did. I'm one of the guys that normally is one of the glass half full type of guys in the chat, as you know. But I did want to change the schedule or change the subject from that a little bit, as to the fact that I was going to chime into, some of the coaching prospect talk between Lane Kiffin and possibly, Josh Freeman. And, these are the same exact names that we had talked about last year. And now I've had a whole nother year to even digest all these names, not even those two, and look at it, and I still think Drink is just a dork, but Lane is intriguing, flashy, Spurrier type, and Freeman, there's a lot of things to like there. But as far as some of the reservations with Lane, which I think, we're tippy-tapping, tiptoeing around, is his presence on Twitter, and I just don't think that that's necessarily looks good with the brass that are making these decisions, and what the institution actually stands for. And I'd like to hear your opinion on that, Dave. We've talked about some reservations with Lane, and yeah, he's been in immature fool in the past, had a lot of stops, and but I think now he's grown up a lot. But there's still this Twitter presence that is omnipresent all the time. That he kept it. I just don't know if that's what people want to see, or the old guard want to see in Gainesville. And that's what I think is kind of refreshing about Freeman. He's much younger, and we can go on about him. But that's why I think I'm starting to lean Freeman a lot more than Kiffin. Your thoughts?
I certainly,
sorry. Keith Niebuhr reporting from Ruskin, Florida here.
Such a silly reason to not like, or if you were not going to hire somebody because of that, that would be such a dumb reason.
I mean,
yeah, this is the university.
Because of Twitter presence alone.
I mean, look, the school that he's at right now is a fan base that thinks themselves pretty highly and kind of the high class and all that Ole Miss.
Yeah, they're a little uppity.
Right. And they don't have an issue with it. And look, I think they'd have an issue with it. And I'm going to say it one more time. Winning solves a lot. And if they were losing and he was doing those things, okay, it probably wouldn't look so good. But if you are sold that he is a winner, that is worth overlooking, in my opinion.
He probably wouldn't be doing them if he were losing.
That probably
I think
true.
that's part of it.
I think that's a good point. I do think a lot of it comes with winning, and the way his moxie happens because he's winning. That's who he is. So I guess I get it. I guess I get it.
Was winning,
yeah. Yep.
When Spurrier was winning, you had the free shoes you had the can't spell citrus without UT. That doesn't, that's not a great reflection on the university, but nobody cared because he was winning.
Yep.
If Twitter was around back in the 90s, he would be 10 times worse.
Yeah. And in a lot of ways, with Spurrier, we embraced it. And
we would with Lane.
Yeah, and I think so. If as long as he's winning.
He's trolling our fan base on Twitter right now, and I'm embracing it. I'm eating it up. Yes, I agree. I mean, he's literally. I mean, you can tell he's singling out us. He is trolling us. I mean, he's out there putting spot the ball with him and his son or whatever it is. He's out there.
He's secretly.
He's funny.
He's secretly already.
Right, but
he secretly already loves us.
Of maybe is this secret or possibly part of the reservation with Scott Strickland's strategy going forward? Like, would he want a guy that's a little bit more reserved in that aspect with Josh Freeman?
You mean Marcus Freeman?
Or Marcus Freeman? Josh Freeman. That was a former Buccaneers.
That's what I was about to say. I know you're down there. I know you're down there in the Tampa area. I knew that's where it was coming from. But like I said, I don't think Strickland's fully making a decision here. I think he'll have a say, and like I said, I think he can be talked into Kiffin with some of the others who do want him. So no, I don't think any of that stuff's going to be a decision maker for whether Lane Kiffin gets the job or not. It's either
Strickland's had almost 10 years to get in whoever he's wanted to get in.
Yeah, it's either Florida has somebody above Kiffin, and they end up getting him, or to me, it's Kiffin telling Florida no. So I don't think it's because I don't think it's because he tweets too much. I don't think it's because he says this. I don't think it's because he says that. To me, it doesn't get that far with it. It's Florida has Marcus Freeman or somebody else ahead of him, and or timing. Ole Miss goes on a run in a playoff, and maybe that plays into it. But I don't think Florida and Lane Kiffin don't get married together because of tweets.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up watching Spurrier, and when I was a kid and young, I loved that attitude that he had. I'm no spring chicken anymore, but I am craving that for Florida. We need that kind of attitude. We need that kind of personality to bring us up out of the depths. It's time. We just went through a coach of soft-spoken and quiet and mild-mannered, and it's gotten us to 2-4 in year 4.
Yeah, I think Gator Nation is ready for change in many ways. Not just on the field. It starts there. That is number one, and is a big gap. But Florida fans want to win and win in a certain way, and they want to have fun watching football. It's just who we are. That's a lot of us in our age. That's how that's what we were raised on. That's what we came to love. So.
That's what's won us national championships too.
That's true. It was successful. Yeah, and for the talent that you can get in the state of Florida, that type of mentality does go a long way.
That's why.
Only thing that gives me. Go ahead.
I was just that's why there's really only one guy that should be on this list. Although I know that's not realistic, so that's why I include Freeman as
not for everybody in here. Now I know Bull. Kevin is not very high on Bull's list.
Yeah, he's growing on me because that comment he made about what's his name, Kirby being fat. I mean, he didn't say he was fat. He's not burning a lot of calories on the sideline. That was great.
That's plus 50 points right there.
The only thing that gives me a little hesitancy on Kiffin is not that he tweets and stuff like that. It's that he was doing all that talking and then he almost got beat.
Yeah.
Or got a little sketchy there. And so I was kind of like, dang, is he ready to take this serious? Like, just from outside looking in.
Hey, I know for people I talk to, not who would be making the decision, but people who have pretty good connections. That's their worry is how serious he would take it. And do these tweets kind of show that? Maybe that's Corey's point. Maybe it does show a level of, maybe if you want to label it, immaturity, or a label of just not being focused on the things that he truly needs to be focused on while he's winning. Like I said, people really aren't going to care. But then it's kind of like, Dan Mullen behind a boat, jet skiing when, recruiting is not going the way you want it to, or a loss happens, and then those things kind of get thrown up in your face. That's when it starts, looking like that side of it. So, it really is just going to come down to him winning, and then people are going to start connecting the dots if you're not winning, and it's because you're tweeting and not watching film, or not doing this or not doing that, and that's just it's unfortunately the nature of the business. Hey guys,
Dave, I don't know how longer you're going to keep this going.
This will be the last thing.
It's not about football. 3 weeks from tonight,
okay.
TNT, Gators versus Arizona. The basketball season starts.
And we did get a time for that, I think, now. I think I saw
We're
it.
about
I think it's like 7
p.m.
Yeah.
7 p.m.
Yeah. So it's a Monday night. So I may have to push the episode to like 9:00 that night, Bull. I would try to watch the tip off. And then the game in Jacksonville got pushed back to like 8:30 tip off time. So I'm sure some TV network picked it up for the time change, I'm assuming. But the Florida Miami basketball game, I know I got a ticket alert saying, hey, tip off time's been pushed back. I think it was supposed to start at 7. Now it's like an 8:30 tip here in Jacksonville against Miami. So my dad's going with me, and I don't even know if he's realized it yet. So I'll have to call and tell him, but he's not going to be happy about that. So
Is that past bedtime?
Yeah. And, hey, part of that too is it's the Sunday, and the Jags do have a home game. So I do wonder if they're just trying to get the a lot of the football crowd out before some of the basketball crowd comes in. That could be part of it, but I got to do some research. And to me, I'm thinking it's probably because a TV network picked it up for a certain start time. So, but I don't know who's going to be showing that game on TV since it's a neutral site game. I don't know if that's one of those. I don't know if ESPN have it or.
It's ESPN, according to the Gators men's basketball website.
Okay, well, there we go. So probably has something to do with ESPN then. And man, that means it's going head to head with Sunday Night Football that night.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why.
That better be a Gator victory, or it does not bode well for the season.
It would not. It would not. All right, everybody. Hey, thanks so much for having this conversation right here. Gators Breakdown Plus. Thank you guys for, like I said, keeping this Discord hopping and going. Enjoy it. I wish I got to interact even more. But you guys keep it lively for me. If you guys out there are not members yet and you want to join, gatorsbreakdownplus.com is where you can do it. Ad-free episodes of Gators Breakdown and taking part in chats like these. All right, everybody. I got to do it for this chat, and go Gators.
Go Gators.
Thanks, Gators. Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, guys.